Hey everyone, this is Jackie from Strength Therapy. And today I'm going to be talking about something that can help many people with their stress and anxiety and feeling of being overwhelmed, okay? And so I know that you guys have all heard about the bucket list, right? The list of things that you want to do in your lifetime, go skydiving or bungee jumping or African safari or whatever it is, right? But this is going to be called, and I'm just going to forewarn you, there's going to be some swearing in this video, so if you're opposed to swearing, then just earmuffs, right? But this is called the fuck it list, okay? And I did that for a specific reason, right? Because scientists have found that if you use profanity, it actually helps express various types of emotions that you might have, because it is actually just, it is severe enough, if that makes sense. It is expressive enough. It does a better job than saying, oh, fudge knuckles, right? So, but it depends again on who you are. Some people, fudge knuckles is all, all fine and dandy and everything, but for a majority of you, profanity is a little bit more helpful. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to be presenting the fuck it list. When to use this? Well, this is going to be for any time anybody is stressed out, feeling overwhelmed, they've got too much to do, too much worrying that they're worrying about, and there's just like nothing that they can do, and they just, maybe lost motivation, don't feel like doing anything, but they have their plate of to-dos just like super piled high, okay? And so for the people who are a little bit more visual, this is something that is very helpful, or so I've found with a lot of my clients, okay? And so a few different steps to this. Number one is you're gonna need either a wall or like a table, just some blank surface, even on the floor is totally fine, and you'll need some note cards or some post-it notes. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna be taking a bunch of sticky notes and you're gonna be write down every single fuck that you're giving, okay? Now it's very important that each post-it note gets its own fuck, or each fuck gets its own post-it note, okay? And the reason why is because we're going to be moving these things around. Now, some of you guys are thinking, well, it's a little bit wasteful to be using like one post-it note per fuck, right? So you're like, well, what if I write it down all on a sheet of paper and just list it out? You could do that, but I wouldn't recommend doing that on a piece of paper. I would recommend doing that on a computer, okay? So then this way, because you're gonna be wanting to move things around and shuffling them around. So if you wanna go about that way, be a little bit more resourceful, that's fine. If you're a little bit more visual, like I am, you will wanna put these out on individual pieces of paper so that it is going to be easier to see, okay? So I've just written some fake fucks. I'm not really giving these fucks, but these are just ideas and examples that you could have of different fucks that you're giving. So, so first thing again is to write down all the fucks that you're giving, and then you just put them all over the board or the wall or the floor, the table, wherever you're putting all your fucks, right? So we'll just kind of do that. And as you're doing this, you'll start to see that you're given a lot of fucks. Like there's a lot of stuff up here, right? And you can just kind of put them wherever and it's totally fine. Dishwasher needs fixing, kids starving in Africa, homeless people in another state, or even in your own state, doesn't really matter. Your boss is being demanding, coworkers are being negative. What's the weather gonna be like for your hike this weekend? Natural disasters, grocery shopping, coworkers, and then zombie apocalypse. I know a lot of people are worried about the zombie apocalypse, especially right now at the time of this filming. There's the coronavirus thing going around right now, so a lot of people are like zombie apocalypse style going on. So this is all, examples of fucks that you could be giving. Okay, so that's step number one, is just to first write down all the fucks you're giving, put them up somewhere, and then now we get to organize them. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to organize them into two different groups. First one is mine, and then the second group is not mine. Okay, so we got mine and then we got not mine. So now we get to move everything that is directly affecting me, okay, into the mine category, and then things that are not affecting me. So it's basically, it's like, like starving kids in Africa, right? Where did that one go? Put that, there you go. Starving kids in Africa, right? This would go in the not mine section because it's not directly affecting me. Okay, now as a caveat, okay, for some people who are like, well, I donate to that charity, that kind of thing, then that's totally fine, but it's not actually affecting you, okay? So again, all these things are just, it's gonna depend on what your views on them are. So I'm gonna teach you how to categorize them, right? So you can just take whatever viewpoint that you want for the starving kids in Africa, right? And so we're gonna just kind of rearrange these. So we've got this. This is also not mine. Grocery shopping is gonna be mine. Car, right? Let's say I have kids. Coworker is, I mean, the coworker's stuff is the coworker's stuff, right? The neighbor's lawn is the neighbor's lawn. Weather for this weekend, it will directly affect me, right? What's for dinner? I don't know. Friend's drinking habit, mom's finances, that might be directly affecting me, right? Dishwasher needs to be fixed. President's stupid decisions, right? Well, actually, no, that could be affecting me too, depending on who you are, right? Saving money for a vacation, boss being demanding, zombie apocalypse. We'll put that over here, right? So let's see, kid's birthday. There we go. All right, so now that I split things up into mine and not mine, right? These are all things that they're not really my responsibility to do anything about them, right? It's just like, okay, well, friend C's drinking habit. It might be affecting me, but it's their situation, right? It's their life. I mean, maybe you've even talked to them about it before or whatever, and you're like, hey man, I don't think this is really good for you. Have a bad habit or whatever. But it's just like there's not really much that you can do about it because it's not yours to give in the first place. Okay, and so these kind of things for anybody who's like in a helping type of industry, so healthcare workers or personal trainers, or even like IT guys, like people who help people for a living, right? A lot of times we like to offer our help up front, right? Because we're like, oh, we just want to help people. We just want to help people. But what ends up happening is that we're giving unsolicited advice to these people who didn't even ask for it. And what happens there is that a lot of times they're just kind of turned off, or they have this wall, and they sometimes will resent you for it, and they'll just go ahead and do their own thing anyway, okay? So those are the kind of things where I'm saying they're not yours to begin with, so fuck it, because like it's their life. They can choose to do whatever they want, okay? So in this case now, everything in the not mine category can go in the fucking category. All right, so look, I'm giving flying fucks. Or I'm not giving flying fucks, there you go. So all these different things, right? And what I would recommend is to go through all this stuff, okay? I would recommend to go through all this stuff one by one and evaluate, really, is it mine, is it not mine, and why? Okay, once you've evaluated that they're not yours, then you can move them to the fuck it list because, hey, they're not yours to begin with, okay? So it's pointless for you to be literally wasting your energy and your sanity on something that it's not even yours, So it's kind of like what your neighbor does in their own house is their own business, right? You don't give a fuck. It's the same thing here, okay? Maybe you just know about it, but hey, it's their business, okay? Just let them be. Just let them be. It's just kind of like you probably do things that your neighbors don't really approve of, or people are judged. I don't know, people judge, right? So, fuck it. It's fine, fuck it, all right? Okay, so that's the first step, or the second step. Next step, what we're gonna do is we're going to take whatever's mine, and we're going to put it in 2 more categories because, again, we already had a lot of them go into the fuck it list. Now we're going to have actionable and can't do nothing. Yeah, I know that's not proper English, but I do that for a reason, okay? It just makes it more fun, more enjoyable, more lighthearted, so that we can take life a little less seriously, because that's the whole point of this thing, is that we're taking things too seriously and too personally that is affecting our lives, right? So now we're going to take everything that was in the mine section, we're going to change it, we're going to see if they're actionable fucks or if they're not actionable fucks. Meaning, can I do something about it or can I not? Is it out of my control? Okay, so for example, president's stupid decision. I mean, obviously, you can fill this in with any person possible, right? Anybody's stupid decision. That's their decision. I mean, you can't do anything about it, right? Because as one person, yeah, maybe you can vote or maybe you can do something or whatever, but the actual decision has been made. You can't really do much about it. Stop complaining about it and move on, right? You can't do nothing about it. Grocery shopping, yep, that's actionable. Kids' lunches, yep, that's actionable. Weather for this weekend's hike. Yeah, maybe you're going for a hike this week and you're like, oh, is it gonna rain? Should I bring this? Should I bring that? Should I pack sunscreen? Should I pack water? Should I do all this? Like, I don't know, just wait till that day, I guess, right? But like, basically, you can't control the weather, okay? And you can fill this in for any event or anything. Like, you can't control nature, you can't control the weather. So, this goes in the can't do nothing pile, right? So, you got car fixes, this is actionable. What's for dinner? This is actionable. Mom's finances, right? Over here, I even had dad's hoarding, right? So because you can either make it, affecting you or not affecting you, depends on who you are. But I just put one of them here just as an example. But like, let's just say your mom has finance issues, right? And you're like trying to help them and you keep like giving them money or giving them advice or whatever. And she just doesn't learn how to take responsibility of her own finances, right? And so basically you just keep giving her fish, but you're never teaching her how to fish, or you're trying to teach her how to fish and she just doesn't care about learning how to fish. She's just like, oh, free fish, that kind of thing. So at that point, it becomes not an actionable item because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So you might want to cut your losses for some things, even if it's painful, right? To save your own sanity, because just like on the airplanes, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help other people, right? So this one could end up being in the can't do nothing pile, right? Kid's birthday party, maybe that's for you too. Boss being demanding, maybe your boss is just an a-hole or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you can't really do anything about it because they're your boss, unless you decide to like quit or something like that, and then that's a different situation. But if you like your job, you want to stay where you're at, then I would just put that in the can't do nothing pile, right? And then there's a zombie apocalypse, right? So here's the thing, stuff like this, right? We can always be prepared for it, right? It's always good to have some type of like emergency plan, that sort of thing. But other than that, there's not much that we can do, right? Right now we've got the COVID-19 thing going around, and what's hilarious is that the thing to do is to do nothing, which is kind of funny. But like, there's no sense in worrying about it, right? I mean, there's already enough worry going on. People are spreading news, fake news, real news, whatever it is, they're spreading news, right? And there's no sense in worrying about it because worrying actually diminishes your immune system's ability to protect you, okay? It makes you sicker, and it also makes you more prone to catching different illnesses and diseases. So that's one thing. That should be like a main reason to not worry just in general. But second of all is that like you as one person can't really do much as far as other people being stupid, or like, there was a 4-day music concert in the UK this last weekend that had like almost 70,000 people, I think, in it. I'm like, that's so ridiculous. Like, that's irresponsible. Now, I don't approve of something like that, but I'm also not going to worry too much about it because there's nothing that I can do about it, right? Maybe it will affect me. Well, maybe it won't, right? But the thing is, it does affect the world. But here's the thing. I can't do anything about it. That's the bottom line. I can't do anything about it. Totally fine. So it goes here, right? I can just do whatever I've been doing, which was I prepared myself for stuff, and then now I'm just finding the things to do, right? So now we basically have two more piles, right? The actionable and the can't do nothing. So the can't do nothing, what you do with these guys here is you end up just reframing the situation in your mind, okay? So just like we were talking about with like the zombie apocalypse, right? Yeah, it might suck, it might influence you, but because there's nothing you can do about it, there's no sense in worrying. You just find different ways and you find a way around it, right? So I'm here at home making videos, right? So this is how I'm passing the time and doing this kind of stuff, is just to make videos and build furniture, I guess, is what I'm doing. So obviously everybody gets the benefit from that. You know, like weather for this weekend's hike, right? It might affect you, yeah, but there's no sense in worrying about it, right? So you just kind of let it go, right? You just kind of, oh, well, it looks like it's gonna rain today, or you just check it that day, but you don't worry about it for the whole week, right? Mom's finances, right? So if you have like a family member who is doing something that you've tried to help them with, but they're just resistant to your help for whatever reason, it might be time to either just cut your losses or take a break from it, right? And then just be like, that's just kind of how it is, you know? So life is not perfect, and we just have to kind of deal with stuff sometimes when it happens, right? And then it's like, well, as much as it might suck to see like a family member or a close friend or whatnot live to their demise or do things to their demise, like sometimes we just can't do anything about it no matter how much we've tried, okay? And even if you do try, let's just say you keep trying, right? This, you say is still actionable. All right, cool, that's great. We'll get to that in a second, okay? Boss being demanding, right? We already covered that one before. It's just like, well, you can either quit your job, which would be an actionable item, or what you can do is just reframe it and just be like, yeah, my boss is a dick, you know, who cares, whatever, and just enjoy your job. You know, like I actually had a job for 6 months. I worked as a temp at it was a government contracted company doing like basically desk work, right? And it was the most boring job ever, but I just did it just as experience to make sure I never want to do office work anymore. And the upper management there were terrible, and everybody there hated their jobs. And so what was hilarious was like, I am going to try to be the happiest that I can be and enjoy this job and brighten everybody's day if I can, right? I'm just going to be like cheerful, normal me. And so everybody around me who had been working there for years and years and years were like, how is she so happy this entire time? Like I was happy the whole 6 months that I was there. And because I did that on purpose, right? Like, I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. I could have easily fallen into their trap of, you know, this job is miserable, but it's really safe, it's got good benefits, and then I'm just doing it for the money, selling my soul to the devil, that kind of thing. But for me, that's no way to live, right? It's all about attitude. So I decided to change my attitude about it. And even though the boss was not my favorite person in the world, I still enjoyed my time there because of my attitude, okay? So that's what you can do with all this other stuff, is you just change your attitude about it. It's like, I can't do anything about it anyway, so I might as well just enjoy the ride, right? So all these things over here also go in the fuck it list. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, right? And then all you're left with are these things that are actionable, okay? So these things that are actionable, this is a much smaller list of things to give a fuck about than what we had everything combined, right? So all these things you can say fuck it to, and these things you can just tackle them one by one and just be like, okay, this is fewer things to do, now let's just tick them off the box, right? So maybe I'll just put them in a to-do list, right? So maybe I'll plan the kid's birthday party, right? That'll be on the to-do list. Make a budget for vacation money, right? We'll call the dishwasher guy, right? We'll do this with this, what's for dinner and grocery shopping together, right? We'll make a grocery list, right? We'll call the car mechanic to see when we can bring the car in, right? We'll figure out kids' lunches with the groceries, right? And then let's say mom's finances, let's just say, yeah, I'm gonna make a plan to help my mom with her finances and that kind of thing. Maybe help her make a budget, right? Maybe we'll even do this with a saving for vacation, right? And then all of a sudden you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 things to give a fuck about, right? Instead of like 800, all right? And so this one would be your actionable items. So stop fucking around and just do it, okay? And stop worrying. That's the biggest thing, is just to stop worrying, okay? This stuff, the fuck it list, now what's really cool about this is that you don't just throw it away. You take each one, you look at it, you read it out loud, you say, what's the weather for this weekend, for this weekend's hike gonna be like? I don't know, fuck it. And then you can crinkle it up and then throw it. Or you can take it and you can just fuck it, whatever, right? You can even, and this is of course if you're safe with it, just take a lighter and burn it, right? You crinkle it up and you burn it, okay? And the powerful thing about taking each one of these, looking at them and saying fuck it to each one and then destroying it is actually doing a bit in your psyche to destroy these fucks that are taking up space in your brain, okay? So the actual action of destroying these physical fucks will help you let go of these silly little things, okay? And then you have a written out, this is what we're gonna do, okay? You have a plan of action, okay? And then this way, you're a lot, everything just seems a little bit more manageable after that, okay? So you've given up on all these other things. You're like, whatever, fuck it, okay? And then let's just focus on the important things that you can actually do something about, all right? So I hope that this helps a lot of you guys. This is something that if you do this often, you'll start to be able to do this without having to put stuff up, okay? And then you might even just be catching yourself in the day, just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. Oh, wait a second, is this my fuck to begin with even? Can I do something about it? No? Fuck it, whatever, just go about my happy day, okay? So this becomes a habit, it becomes a skill that you acquire, that you learn on how to do this just in your brain. But when you first start out, this is a really great tool to help you figure out what fucks to actually do something about and what fucks to just fuck it, okay? So hope you guys enjoy this, and stop fucking around and just say fuck it.